Okay, right. Last night's Game 5 of the World Series was so bad from the Yankees' point of view that I just had to get in front of the camera and behind the mic again for the first time in months. Firstly, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. You've been the best team in the series and you've probably overall deserved it. Bar one or two moments and a handful of errors, nothing looked like it was going to stop you from winning this World Series, and you've won it. Fair enough. You've completed what is essentially a gentleman's sweep against the New York Yankees. Forgive me if I don't mention the Dodgers all that much, because this episode is going to be mainly about the New York Yankees and how they have essentially completed the biggest choke in World Series history. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Let's Talk Baseball for the first time in months. You know, everything's been a bit busy at the moment. Everything's been a bit... everything's going everywhere. Everyone's got a lot of things to do. But as I was sat there, right there, I was sat up until the wee hours watching this game. Because I just had a feeling something was going to happen. Just had a feeling something was on the way. All of these thoughts were going in my head towards the end and throughout the game. And ultimately decided that when I woke up, let's get stuck into this. Let's get this rolling and let's see what we can make out of it. And ultimately, there's a lot to talk about from this game. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. I don't know how long I'm going to chat about it for. But, you know, there's no running order. There's no statistics. There's no nothing like that. The New York Yankees, through 4 innings, heading into the 5th inning, were 5-0 up at home. Homers from Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Giancarlo Stanton meant they had what seemed to some an unassailable lead. Some people were looking around, kind of going, "Get the plane ready back to LA. They're heading back for a Game 5 or Game 6, you know." And then pretty much as soon as everyone got into that position of, the Dodgers are going to use most of their bullpen arms, that's it. We've got another game on our hands. The season isn't over. No. Didn't work like that. Didn't work like that at all. Why? Here's why. The Dodgers, for all of their talent, were not in a position to take advantage of this. For this moment in time, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I was seeing what Dodgers fans were saying about it, and they were essentially saying along the lines of, the lineup has been offensively terrible for most of this series. Shohei Ohtani was non-existent. He was clearly playing injured. In a regular season, he wouldn't be playing, but it's the World Series, so you do silly things. And I was so confident heading into that 5th inning because Cole was on fire. He had that look about him. They showed the camera went to his face quite often during this run he was on, and he looked fantastic. He was in the zone. Nothing was going to faze him. He was blanking everyone. Freddie Freeman, who was unbelievable in this series, he had nothing for Cole. And I was like, yeah, here we go. This is it. He's on form. He could go 8. He could go 7 innings. He could go 8 innings. This is fantastic. And then 5 runs came out of nowhere. They were all 5 unearned runs. He had 38 pitches. Kike Hernandez opened it up with a single. Fine. Kike's a good postseason hitter. These things happen. He was coming into it with a no-hitter. These things happen. You take it and you move on. That's when the problem began. Aaron Judge in centre field was, he's not, I wouldn't call him like Gold Glove level, but he's good. He's defensively sound. I was just reading this here. Aaron Judge has played 1,958 innings in centre field between the regular season and postseason. He'd never committed an error until the 5th inning of Game 5 of the World Series. It was an 0-2 fastball. Tommy Edman hit it into centre. And the only way you can describe it, if you haven't seen it, is a routine line out. No kind of, he didn't need to dive for it. He didn't need to turn around and chase it. It was no Willie Mays of the catch level kind of thing. It was something he could do with his eyes closed. He could do this in his sleep. Just not now. Because I think what happens is, if you go back and watch it, as Judge goes to, he closes his glove too quickly. Judge closes his glove, easy for me to say. Judge closes his glove too quickly. He also is looking at the base runner to see if I can get this. Can I tag him up? Just make the out, mate. Just make the out and worry about anything else. And he okay, error. 2 men on base. Cole's still going. Next up was Will Smith. Again, not been productive at all in the postseason. In the World Series, rather. He hit a grounder towards Anthony Volpe. Gold Glove shortstop in the past. Defensively sound. Yep, sometimes makes a couple of, errant throws or anything like that, but more often than not, he's fine. Volpe went to third. He threw to third because of the way that his body was and, the position he had, getting off the lead runner, absolutely fine. He bounced the throw into the dirt, and Jazz Chisholm Jr., who'd hit a home run in the game, couldn't field it. Jazz Chisholm Jr., who's not a third baseman, who is playing third base, Jazz is good enough to pull it off and to, make routine plays at third because he's a good raw player. But he doesn't have the third baseman like qualities. It's yes, it may look similar, but it's not in terms of where you stand, all of this kind of stuff. And that's a bigger issue with the organisation that I'm going to go into in a minute. Once I've gone through this horrendous 5th inning. For the first time, I remember watching this going, oh, I could deal with the Judge error. It was heinous. It was awful. He should do better. Blame on him and he'll know this. He should do better. You get the out, you move on. The Volpe one, whilst it was a difficult play, that is where I'm like, okay, this isn't very good. He still had the confidence in Cole to get people out, but he had Lux, Ohtani, and Betts coming up. He struck out Lux, absolutely fine. He struck out Ohtani, absolutely fine. In another world, that's the inning's over. No worries, no dangers. They're out of the 5th, 5-0 up. Dodgers are probably doing a bullpen game. Yankees hold on. Yankees win Game 5. We're heading back to LA for a Game 6. First team ever to go from 3-0 to 3-2 in a World Series. Nope. That was far too simple. He struck out Lux. He struck out Ohtani, who was, again, terrible. Was not himself at all, but he's got a ring, so who cares? All he had to do was get Mookie Betts out. Mookie Betts, he pitched to Mookie Betts, and he hit a chopper towards first base. Anthony Rizzo's off the bag to cover, as you do. Anthony Rizzo doesn't charge the ball. Anthony Rizzo assumes Garrett Cole is covering the bag. Like, I think everybody would have. Garrett Cole doesn't cover the bag. He doesn't cover the bag. Because he's assuming Anthony Rizzo's capable enough of making the play on his own. And neither one did it. Neither one did anything. I'm going to have to get the play up now. I'm going to have to watch the play. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to have to watch the play again. Because it was just... I've genuinely never seen anything like it before in my life. It was so bad. Yep, Betts chopper to first, routine. Cole just stops. Rizzo doesn't have the urgency. Rizzo didn't have the urgency to do it. He kind of like steps up, goes to underarm throw it to Cole, who has stopped and is pointing at the bag as if to say, "You've got it. This is yours." Rather than like pin blame on one person in this particular incident, it's both of them. It's both of them. And I struggle to kind of go, this is on Cole, this is solely on Cole, this is solely on Rizzo. Both are to blame for this error. It's egregious. It's awful. It should never have been allowed to happen. The Dodgers don't make that play. Or Dodgers don't make that error, rather. That's the difference. That, in a microcosm, is the difference between these two teams. The Dodgers have somebody covering first base, or Freddie Freeman is a good enough first baseman that he can do it on his own. It feeds into a lot of what the Yankees will need to do later on going into the off-season, but, you know, God, that was... And then it just fell to pieces. It just collapsed. He didn't cover the bag. Betts, to his credit, full pace, full run to it, gets on first. You can only applaud it because it was, he was going to do that anyway. He was going to have to do that anyway because they needed the support, they needed anything that they could get, and they got it. He did well to get to the bag, but he was also aided by two numbskulls not making the play. And then you've got Freddie Freeman comes up, 2 out, 2 strikes, 2-run single. He, fair play to Freddie, tied the RBI record set in the 1960 World Series. Fair play. Teoscar Hernandez comes in, 2-strike double. Game's tied 5-all. Kike Hernandez then ends the inning. He bounced to short, and the place was stunned. The Yankees took the lead again in the 6th with a sacrifice fly. The Dodgers then did 2 sac flies in the 8th. Walker Buehler comes in. His first save as a big leaguer. Dodgers are World Series champions. The Dodgers then become the first team in MLB postseason history to fall behind 5+ runs, erase that deficit, fall behind again, and then yet still win the game. I could not believe it. I genuinely could not believe it. And it happened. The one thing that you didn't want to happen, happened. And I say I couldn't believe it. And this feeds on to the next part of what I wanted to say. We've done like a little recap of what happened. The Dodgers win, over the course of the series, they were probably the better team. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Yankees robbed. No. The Yankees overall beat themselves. The Dodgers are a better team, but the Yankees beat themselves more than the Dodgers won, if that makes sense. The Yankees had game one if they wanted it. Again, defensive mishaps and awful play. Fundamentals were wrong. Poor pitching decisions from the manager cost them the game. There is a world where Tim Hill is put into face the last batters in game one instead of Nestor Cortez Jr. The Yankees come out of that in extras. They've gone to LA and they've taken a game. It happens. Cole was fantastic on that start as well. They're 1-0 up. Now let's follow the pattern of that. The Dodgers take game two. Okay, fine. You're leaving LA 1 game apiece. Brilliant. Walker Buehler comes in. Game 3. Fantastic. Yankees win game 4. The bullpen game for the Dodgers. They punted it essentially. Yankees are back to 2-2. You win this. You're 5-0 up. 5-0 up in the 5th inning. Garrett Cole is looking like one of the best postseason pitchers of all time at this point. You don't make mental errors. You make the plays. You get out of the inning unscathed. Yankee Stadium's rocking. Dodgers' confidence is rock bottom. You're going back to LA 3-2 up. You have 2 chances to win 1 game. That's all you need. And instead, that's not what's happened. It's crazy how this can happen. It's insane how this can happen. Because whilst I am shocked it happened, I'm not shocked to the level of, oh my god, this team who have been defensively sound all year have made a mess of this. No. This team has been terrible for... I say terrible. This team has lacked in the fundamentals of baseball consistently for a large majority of the season. There would have been a lot of Yankees fans last night watching that game kind of going, I'm surprised, but I'm not. Like, if this was in LA and the Dodgers did this, and they're panning to the crowd, people are like they've just seen the president being shot. They don't know what they've just seen. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this team has done this. With the Yankees fans, it was more of a disbelief of I can't believe it's happened to this extent. We've seen them make boneheaded plays in the infield. We've seen them make errors. We've seen them shoot themselves in the foot. That's an Aaron Boone Yankees team. That's what they do. That's their thing. And yet it happens on the biggest stage of them all. An elimination game at home in the World Series. Oh my god! Oh, it's irritating. It's so infuriating. It's such a problem. It's such an issue that everybody could kind of see coming. Everybody kind of knew this was going to happen at one point or another. Game 1 didn't surprise anybody. Game 1, it was like, oh, you've messed it up again, have you? And yes, I know they only beat AL Central teams in the lead up to the World Series, but I'm sorry for yawning. I'm very tired. I stayed up until 4 a.m. watching that tosh. But what it comes down to, ultimately, all the fan frustration aside, all of this kind of stuff to another level. The New York Yankees are not fundamentally run well enough to win the World Series. And what I mean, there's many different reasons to this. Let's just look on the field. These errors happen way too often. This isn't like weirdly, the first one that comes into my head is someone like Chicago Cubs 2004 NLCS against the Florida Marlins. Sorry, 2003 it was. Alex Gonzalez mishandled a ground ball that would have resulted in an inning-ending double play. And that's up there with one of the worst playoff innings of all time. And I think this one tops it, to be honest. Alex Gonzalez bobbles that ball, would have been a double play, innings over. They then allowed 8 runs in the inning and then lost the game 8-3. And yes, there was no kind of freaky Steve Bartman cursed issue that happened. It was just mental lapses of concentration. I understand that. And it wasn't even like the fans after the judge catch, the fans weren't immediately nervous. The fans were annoyed, but they weren't like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that's happened. This is it. It's going to go to pot now." Because you're 5-0 up, and you've allowed a hit, and then an error on a line out. So it is what it is. You know, you still got time. You still got Cole on the mound. Let's go for it. The Yankees' focus and concentration is that bad that this isn't a surprise, because this has happened for a long time. And ultimately, you got to look at it and go, who does it come down to? Who does this come down to? And when things like that happen, everyone wants to find someone to blame, and there always, most of the time, is someone to blame. I was thinking about this earlier on. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for the consistent lapses of mental concentration? And there isn't a single answer. There isn't a singular answer. The answer is Aaron Boone, the coaching staff, and the players themselves. For example, Aaron Judge, right? Aaron Judge will get a lot of stick online. It is what it is, right? I get it. You earn that much money. You're in that high leverage situation. You got to make the play. Not defend him in the slightest. But we know he's done it before. We know he's made that play before. As that stat said earlier, nearly 1,200 innings played in centre field in the regular season and postseason. Didn't make a single error, unfortunately, until last night. Then the Volpe play, which was, I don't know if it was the best play, but it wasn't like an egregious, oh my god, he's thrown it into the stands play. Do you know what I mean? It was okay, that's the decision you've gone with. It wasn't I don't think it was the right decision, but it's a decision. And he just didn't make the play. Because Jazz just, it was a joint kind of thing. And then the Rizzo and Cole one was just terrible. The pair of them should know better. They're veteran leaders, supposedly, of this team. They should know better than what happened there. But I suppose at the end of the day, it comes down to the management. It comes down to the leadership. Where if these things happen in a one-off game, it is what it is. You hold your hands up, you go, oh my days, I cannot believe that's just happened. This usually sound defensive team has made boo-boos in the worst possible time. But this has happened a lot. This has happened a lot with various different players. So ultimately, what does it come down to? Is it the organisation just not teaching them properly? People like Anthony Volpe, who won a Gold Glove at shortstop in his rookie season, but isn't, I wouldn't say, a defensive whiz. He's good. Weirdly, he's definitely got. I feel he's gotten better defensively than he did in his Gold Glove year. Don't know how that works, but it is what it is, right? Jazz Chisholm Jr. is a good player. He is a fundamentally good player. He is not a third baseman. He's just not a third baseman. That comes with team building. We'll bring on to that later on. Anthony Rizzo was a good first baseman. Anthony Rizzo was a good first baseman many years ago. He's not now. He's just not. It was 7 years since the Cubs won. 8 years since the Cubs won the World Series. It's time to go, mate. He's not the guy. You can't do it. When you look at the contrast between Freddie Freeman at first for the Dodgers and Anthony Rizzo at first for the Yankees, not the slugging side of things, none of that. Absolutely none of that. I'm on about just pure fundamentals of being a first baseman. Anthony Rizzo is nowhere near the level of Freddie Freeman. Absolutely, yeah, it's not even a debate. But the level of having someone of the caliber of Freddie Freeman at first base compared to someone like Anthony Rizzo at this stage in his career, it can breed confidence for a lot of other people in that team. You can make that throw to Freddie Freeman and go, I know he's got it. And if he doesn't have it, it's a freak. Or if he's beaten out to the bag by someone else, that's a good hustle play by the hitter. I understand that. With Rizzo, it's like, okay, you could make basic plays, but because he replaced someone like DJ LeMahieu, who has been, he's just vanished. He's done an Ozzie Smith and fallen off of the face of the planet. If you watch The Simpsons, you know what that means. He just disappeared. He's vanished. Don't know where he's gone. But he was so bad that when Rizzo comes back in, it's like you're getting Freddie Freeman in there, but you're not. You're getting an older Anthony Rizzo who just isn't the guy. He's playing with broken fingers. How'd you play the game with broken fingers? Ugh. Oh, it's agonising. It's agonising. It was there. As Boone has said all season, it was right there in front of us. Right there. God, they might. You know what? They might still have lost the series, and I can live with that. I can live with that because they gave us just that little slither of hope. That 1.5 game run was fantastic. It was great, but it just shows that organisational changes are needed. Aaron Boone, according to sources, is going to remain manager of the New York Yankees, and that, for me, tells me everything I need to know about where this organisation thinks it is. The guy... I don't have a problem with Aaron Boone, the person. I think Aaron Boone, the guy, seems like a nice enough fella. He seems quite harmless. He's... you know... to use a football cliche kind of parlance, he gets the club. I don't even know what that means, but apparently he gets the club. And whilst he has a good record for a manager, you know, you go through his record as a manager. Where is it? Managerial record. Thank you, Baseball Reference. 100 wins, 62 losses in 2018. 2019, 103 and 59. So 2 very good seasons to open up your managerial reign. Didn't win the pennant. 2020 shortened year, 33 and 27. 92-70 in 2021, 99-63 in 2022, which was a really good first half of the year, a terrible second half of the year that resulted in just agony. 2023, the worst year in like 30 years or something, 82-80. This year, 94-68. So it's actually the third most games he's lost in a year, and ironically, it's the year they get to the World Series. And I don't mind him. I don't mind him as a guy. As a pundit, I didn't mind listening to him. He was harmless, he was a bit of fun, all of this kind of stuff. But he's not the man to win the postseason for you. He just isn't. He's not that guy. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. There was a graphic put up on, I believe it was Yes, last night. 2018, lost ALDS. 2019, lost the ALCS. 2020, lost the ALDS. 2021, lost in the American League wildcard. 2022, lost in the ALCS again for the second time. 2023, missed the postseason. 2024, lost the World Series. Ultimately, what's going to be remembered for Aaron Boone so far in the postseason as the Yankees manager has been bad losses. And no loss is good, but you can lose badly. Last night was a bad loss, and last night is going to be his legacy until he wins a World Series, if he wins a World Series. Game 1 was on him. He's not a good in-game manager. Just doesn't have it in him. He might be a good player guy. He might be a arm around the shoulder, kind of Harry Redknapp style figure. But he's not an in-game manager. He's not a thinker. He can't outthink anybody. He's got a generational talent in Juan Soto. He's got probably the best player in the league in Aaron Judge. Giancarlo Stanton in the postseason is like Babe Ruth. He has Garrett Cole with him. And he's been bailed out many, many times by his players. He's been let down many, many times by his players as well. In a way, I feel sorry for him because he's not cut out for it, and they're going to keep trotting him out there. They're just going to keep trotting him out there, and he can't do it. He just can't do it. So he's rumoured to be staying on. He's rumoured to be staying on as the Yankees manager. Fine. But they clearly don't want to move on from him. The players probably don't want to move on from him, and you just got to accept it. I wouldn't keep him. I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't have had him after last season, to be honest. I thought this year would have been it. I thought this year was the way he should have gone this year, regardless of the result. Even if they'd have gone out on top, even if they won out the World Series, it would have been the perfect way to go. You know what? I've done what I've needed to do. I'm off. See you later, lads. I've got my ring. It wasn't meant to be a middle finger. It's meant to be a ring finger. And I can't. There we go. You then look at the organisation and kind of go, okay, what needs to be done? What needs to be done now to improve on this season? And improve on this season is win the World Series. Because what I think people are going to forget about in the midst of all of this, and I kind of understand it, I kind of get it, because it's a bad loss, it's a heartbreaking loss in the way that, you went in the space of 20 minutes, you went from potentially forcing a Game 6 and the momentum on your side to absolutely nothing. absolutely nothing going your way. And, whatever, it is what it is, right? What happens in the off-season to make this team the best team in the American League again? Because when you look at the American League, how many teams realistically are going to put up a fight? The Orioles are going to be in and around it. The Guardians are going to be in and around it. The Royals are going to be in and around it because the AL Central is a dumpster fire. You're then going to look at teams like Houston, who are talented, but are they going to re-sign Alex Bregman? All of these kind of things are going to be dealt with in the off-season. What the Yankees have to do is just spend money on players who know what to do. Sign someone like re-signing Soto feels like a non-starter, like a no-brainer rather. Get the deal done. If he wants to be a New York Yankee, just make him a New York Yankee. Is Gleyber Torres going to stay? I'm torn on him, to be honest. I think he's a very good player. He's a very good hitter. But would you be willing to sacrifice a offensive threat for a better defensive second baseman? Or do you move Jazz to second and then sign a third baseman anyway? These are questions they're going to have to figure out. Because this team isn't far off. This team is not far off in the slightest. Which sounds mental given everything I've just said. But given everything I've just said, they were a few boneheaded plays and a few boneheaded managerial decisions away from being 3-2 up right now, heading back to a Game 6 in LA. This team, in another universe, are one game away from winning the World Series. That's the reality of it. We're sitting here bemoaning possibly the biggest single-inning choke job in World Series history. I'm probably going to say it is, to be brutally honest. And yet, they were a pitching change away from winning Game 1, or a fielding decision from Gleyber Torres away from winning Game 1. They were a Judge catch, a Volpe throw, and a Rizzo Cole first base thing away from almost definitely securing Game 5. And they won Game 4 because of the bullpen situation with the Dodgers. So they would be going into the series, 3-2 up. Momentum on their side. Pissed off Carlos Rodon. God knows what happens in the Game 7 if you need it. Stanton was on fire. Judge looked like he was catching fire. Soto is Soto. So they've when you watch them, they don't look like a championship caliber team. But they were minor things or minor differences away from being 3-2 up in this series. First call of action, sign Juan Soto. He's not only an outstanding player, but it's a statement of intent. It was a statement of intent trading for him. It would be a statement of intent making him a Yankee for the rest of his career. Yes, it's a lot of money. Don't care. Not bothered in the slightest. Absolutely not bothered in the slightest. You then go, okay, what happens with the second base situation? My gut is they let Gleyber go. Move Jazz to second. And then they sign a third baseman. So the notable free agents that are currently on the roster are Juan Soto, who they should re-sign, Gleyber Torres, Clay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, Alex Verdugo, Tim Hill, Jonathan Loaisiga. Realistically, right, we're going to go through those players. Soto, re-sign. Torres, I'm not sure. If they re-signed him, wouldn't be upset. But I also wouldn't mind if they didn't, which is a strange thing. Clay Holmes, bye-bye. See you later. I'm sure you'll be fantastic somewhere else, but you are a walking, talking, pitching heart attack. Tommy Kahnle, I'm sure you're a nice guy. Sure you're a good clubhouse guy. Off you go. Alex Verdugo, see you later. Jason Dominguez, learn how to play outfield this off-season. Come back and be the left fielder. Tim Hill, weirdly, I'd keep him. I'd keep Tim Hill because I think he's a good guy to have. And Loizaga, yeah, it's up to them what they want to do. Club options, Garrett Cole is an opt-out, but the club can kind of add another year to it. His contract has a unique clause that allows the Yankees to void his opt-out by adding an extra year at $36 million to the back of his current deal. So, I reckon they'll do that, because why would you not? First baseman Anthony Rizzo has a club option, $17 million, but he's, according to this, failed to play 100 games for the second year in a row, and he turned 35 in August. I reckon the club option is declined, and they try to get him back on a cheaper rate. Lou Trevino, yeah, see you later. Luke Weaver, keep him. That's your closer. The biggest needs, infield. Jazz will be second or third. Volpe will be shortstop. You then have to figure out who's at first and who's at third. I reckon it'll be bargain hunting after Soto, and I can deal with that because it's one freaking Soto. And there are good fundamental players out there that may not hit 25, 30 home runs, but can field a freaking ball. That's all I want. The bullpen, they've got a okay bullpen, but I think the issue they'll have is because they've developed so many good bullpen pitchers in the past, in terms of, you know, some players can be really good at it. They can turn anybody into a really good pitcher. They kind of overestimate how good they can turn these people into. Pitching depth, you know, outside of Cole, you've got Rodon, Clark Schmidt, Luis Hill, and, you know, Marcus Stroman is still there. Nestor Cortez is still going to be around. The pitching I actually don't have a problem with in terms of what they can find. Will they make trades? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. The Bleacher Report have a projected starting lineup of first base of Donovan Solano, who they predict will be signed as a free agent. Donnie Barrels from the San Diego Padres. You know, if he's a solid player, just get it done. Donovan Solano at first, Juan Soto in right, Aaron Judge in centre, Giancarlo Stanton at DH, Jazz at third, Brendan Rodgers from the Colorado Rockies at second base, Wells at catcher, Dominguez in left, shortstop, Anthony Volpe. With a bench of Trevino, Ben Rice, Oswaldo Cabrera, and Trent Grisham. And then a couple of pieces. They've got Adam Ottavino coming back. Tanner Scott's going to be there in the bullpen. So you never know what's going to happen. Organisational changes are needed. Boone will stay, but he shouldn't. He should be gone. And the fact he isn't going tells me a lot about what the team is aiming for. They're happy with this. And it's not good enough. Not good enough at all. Don't be happy with just getting to the World Series. Be annoyed at how you've lost it. I could go on and on and on, but it's been 45 minutes of me chatting nonsense. This has been Let's Talk Baseball. Thank you very much for listening. For the first time in like 3 months. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but it's given me something to do. and woken me up after that horrendous night. I'll look to do this a bit more in the off season, I think. Just it's a bit of fun. Life got incredibly busy, so I couldn't sit down and talk to it as much as possible throughout the postseason, but it's fun to just get things off your chest when your team's just bottled away. A 5-run lead in a half an inning. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, subscribe to the channel, like the video and comment if I've said anything completely heinous. Thank you for watching, have a great day.